Hey everybody, it's Thomas. We're recording live from the inside of the Dyson sphere known as my office. Oh my god, it's so hot. Let's talk about what happened this week. What's going on with next week. The things we normally do in a recap video. We'll start with my team. It's been so long since I recorded this or upgraded my team that I don't remember exactly what I did or didn't have. I know for sure I had Amber the World at 5 agility. I don't know if I had Demalt there too. I guess I could. I'll pull up the spreadsheet. But anyway, Demalt has Blodge now. I think I had that before though, because I remember being grumpy that it was doing nothing for me. I had my kick piece as well. I did get a level up on Roland and Saison here, who got Dodge. And this is pretty much the way all of my future level ups are going to go now that I've got kick and whatever. If it isn't plus agility, plus strength, or a doubles roll, you're going to get dodge as your first skill pretty much across the board. Maybe one of them will get sidestep instead, but for the most part, all these idiots can expect to get dodge. The thrower is obviously a little bit of an exception. It is what it is. So that's where we are now. Obviously I'm still at 10 players. The thought would be to buy a catcher this week, but it seems a little preempted for that. I want to get more of these guys leveled up, again, essentially first. I'd like to get Amber the World Strip Ball. I would like to get Indo Pilsner Club to level 2. And ideally, at least one SPP on the remaining 3 linemen here. Crush and Dunkel would be nice to level up as well, but I'm not holding my breath on that. We'll maybe do some targeted touchdowns. I might actually try to value touchdowns on Amber the World just so I can get Amber the World to level 3 since it's only 2 SPP away. She can get to level 3. Obviously, she's not just 358 with block, which not that 358 with block is bad, but I'd like more things on her. So Strip Ball is probably what I'm going to get. I could get Leap as well. Kind of balance out what we would think we're going to need here. I think Strip Ball is probably the more valuable thing at present. We'll see. I don't know. There's a lot to be said for getting Wrestle, Strip Ball, on a catcher, which is probably what I'll get Wrestle on a catcher for sure, but we'll see. So once all these idiots have Dodge, by the way, almost all of them are going to get Wrestle. I thought about getting Block, but I just don't think it's very productive for what my team does. So yeah, probably get Wrestle almost across the board. Probably a few will get Fend and Sidestep. Kind of play it by ear and see what happens here. The thrower will get accurate almost certainly. Secondary thrower might give block too. We'll see. Accurate. So the reason I'm going for more of a, well, whatever. The important thing is I'm going to go for more of a defensive or an offensive thrower with this. And I'm not going to buy the catcher this week, even though I have the money for it. I think I can get away with it. And next week will be just fine. So let's look at the game. If you haven't watched it already, it'll be up there. Pretty close game. Some not so good things happened to me. Ate some casualties that I didn't want to by falling down. Probably would have been a tie. Orville got, I don't want to say greedy, because it wasn't that greedy of a thing to do. He was trying to level up one of his catchers that had 3 SPP and failed to pick up, and then I managed to scoop up the ball. So you could argue that he wasn't cautious enough for an elf team, but it's a hard call to make. Still, pretty productive week for me. Nonetheless, touchdown, 4 passes, MVP. Definitely not as good as I've done in the past, but 12 SPP is just fine. And obviously, I'm getting it in good places, so I'm okay with this. Loner didn't pick up anything as well, so thumbs up there. Orville walking with just 7 SPP. Not so good for him. The bad part for me is I rolled a 2. I rolled a 1, and then I made it a 2. It's not a good week for rolling winnings dice, to say the least. It's not the end of the world. I mean, I just would have liked a little bit more than that so I could have more comfortably bought the catcher and still had a cushion to buy, like a Blitzer or something like that. So we'll see. See what happens, I guess. Look at Orville's team. I also did, some things didn't quite go my way, and I could have played things a little bit safer than I did, but got my touchdown, so we'll call it a day. Level up on, I don't think any of these guys are leveled up. Trying to remember. I think he had like 1 level up. I think it was, maybe it was this lineman. Either way, thrower, or maybe it was the leader, the thrower. Because yeah, the thrower leveled up and got leader, which I think is great. Gave him the 3 rerolls he kind of was looking for at this point. Can actually buy reroll number 3, which I would consider doing. He's got all of his blitzers back as well, so that's good. This lineman leveled up as well on the back of another MVP. Good job, Brain. Block, I think, is a good choice here. Human teams can get away with being more of a bashy thing, especially with the number of elf teams in the league. They're pretty durable, so block is perfectly fine. Yeah, a little unfortunate the Ogre didn't get SVP. Muffins probably should be level 2, but hooray for luck for me. Orville rolled poorly. Rolled only 20, but can now afford again get reroll number 3, which I think is a good buy at this point. I think buying the 3rd reroll gives him effective 4 rerolls, which is a pretty good advantage considering how many reroll skills that this team has, which leaves him able to mostly reroll blocks or things that he really needs to happen, like catches on blitzers or things like that. So I think that's a pretty good deal. Maybe could have a cushion for blitzers, but the season's still early enough where having to go without a blitzer for a week isn't the end of the world. So yeah. Other matchups of week 3. Let's take a look here. This is not the one I was looking for. This is a forced tie here. We're just going to quick look for winnings and MVP. 80K for Zach, which is pretty good. Puts him at 120. MVP went to a Berserker or a Lineman, which is okay. Not great, but it's okay. He really needs levels up. At this point, he should buy reroll number 3. He now has the money for it. Lucked out in a lot of ways and rolling so high. Means he got fame and means he got like 2 fame, which is pretty crazy. Wow, yeah, kind of staggering in a lot of ways. But yeah, 120 reroll number 3. All of your players at this point kind of don't mean anything. Yeah, you want to preserve them, but you have the Apothecary. So I think it's safe to get reroll number 3. Same rational relation for Orville. None of your players are that important right now, and you can. It's early enough in the season where you can kind of get away with it. Taking a look at Andrew. Vault 108, walking away. No new level ups. Looks like the MVP went to a Rotter, which is a little unfortunate. Rolled 60k, so Andrew can now comfortably buy Nurgle Warrior number 4, which I think he definitely needs to do. At that point, this team is very, very good. Needs more Pestigers, obviously, but that's not that hard to do. So, good news there. This Pestiger getting plus agility, if I didn't talk about that last week, is huge, so good deal there. Other matchups of the week. Oh, God. I don't even know if I want to talk about this. If you haven't watched this game, you should. It's a pretty good game. But it's a very depressing game too. So, Chris killed a guy, and did so as kind of some stories here. Mark did pretty well in the first half, I think, but things kind of fell apart a little bit in the second half. Chris's Goblin basically went on a stomping spree. Arguably, Mark could have maybe prevented this 1-1 tie, but eventually got to the point where he had like 2 pieces on the board, and it just wasn't a good time for Mark. Eating the Death is very sad. Regeneration, I think, is the big letdown here. Regeneration didn't proc of the 5 times that it could have, which is really unfortunate for Mark. Yeah, absolutely terrible. Just no good whatsoever for Mark. Other bad things happen too. We'll look at that a little bit more when we look at Mark's team. But yeah, SVP-wise, like I said, not a great week for Mark. Not too bad, I guess. Walks away with 11 total, which isn't great, but it's not too bad either. Chris walking away with 12, plus the satisfaction of killing something, so that's always good. Gazlo too, the best Gazlo apparently. No SVP, stomped on a lot of things, all good. No level ups for Chris, but I don't know. I think he could have done some more in terms of moving SVP around with the thrower to get the blitzers up to level 2. Some missed opportunities there, but we'll see. His Black Orcs are accruing SPP, so that's good. You know, it's an Orc team. It'll progress because of the high armor value, so we'll see. 70k at this point. He should just wait to buy reroll number 3s up to 3 fan factor as well, which is awesome. Taking a look at the old space meat market. So yeah, minus AV on the Flesh Golem is pretty situational, whether you want to keep it or not. Then it leveled up, which pretty much necessitates keeping him. So block, minus AV. This zombie is out with just the miss next game as well. yeah, whites got taken out pretty quickly. Flesh Golem, this Flesh Golem went out pretty early, and then the other Flesh Golem went out in a pretty big way. Werewolves couldn't do a lot. A lot of surfing happened, but yeah, I don't know. Mark walked away with 70k, so it's not the end of the world. Next week, he should almost for sure be able to afford the replacement Flesh Golem. But getting through next week is going to be a challenge. I do not envy Mark's position at this point because he's basically going to be relying on 2 whites, 2 werewolves, and a whole lot of zombies, which is not impossible, but usually when you have that kind of lineup, you've got like 4 rerolls or something to back it up with. So not a great week for Mark. You know, you never want that kind of thing to happen, but at least it happened early, right? So unfortunate to say the least. Again, regeneration not working at all that game. Probably the biggest takeaway. Scrolling too far. I skipped over this matchup for some reason, because I did. Oh well. Tie game between the other elf teams. You can watch this game up here, obviously. I think this is a game where, for whatever reason, Dark Elf armor was not holding up. It just wasn't. It kept breaking constantly. 3 casualties, 2 KOs sustained. Pretty much there was almost no point where there wasn't at least 3 pieces out for the Dark Elf team. Despite that, Granick played very well in the first half, got the ball away, scored a touchdown, and because Jessup had received the initial kickoff, looking really good for Granick. I think she made a huge mistake, though, and rushing forward way too early. Net result was Jessup was able to get the ball away and score. Jessup also had time in the initial half to do a lot of passing and farmed quite a bit. Total of 6 passes, which is pretty astounding, all things considered. Our highest SPP team of the week with 18. Pretty good. And yeah, just not enough removal for the Dark Elves. It's hard when like 3 of your blitzers are injured. 2 within the first like 3 turns. So all in all, not a bad week for Grey Deck, but it could have been a lot better. Like it probably should be a 2-0 here, but these things happen. Total of 10 SPP. Not great. Not too bad. Walks away with 50k for the winnings, though, so at least that's not too terrible. Should buy a Witch Elf Larry. Phenomenal. The bad thing here is this guard blitzer is missed next game, which is a little unfortunate. But still, having the Witch Elf will balance it out. This team will still have 10 players, unfortunately, but it's okay, I guess. So yeah, not too bad, all things considered. Team's coming along. Needs more SPP, obviously, but that's still doable. Witch Elf ideally should be level 2 by the end of the next game, too, but who knows what will happen. I guess other thoughts. I mean, next up should be reroll number 3, or at least if the runner levels up, then you get leader and put off getting reroll number 3. But then Witch Elf number 2 should be purchased soon afterwards, assuming her winnings rolls don't go the way of Orville. All right, let's take a look at Jessup's side of things here. Just walking away with a lot of level ups out of that, and 60k, so pretty good week for him. Thrower leveled up, got accurate. I think this is fine. I would have leaned towards getting block on this thrower. Accurate is certainly fine. It's a very good skill in throwing. I prefer, because this team doesn't have War Dancers, though, more of a block ability. Just this team doesn't have a lot. This lineman got dodge, which is good. This lineman also got dodge, which I think is good. Wood Elves definitely benefit a lot from having dodge because of the high movement allowance, and it will help keep them up, so that's very good. 2 pieces with dodge, a piece with kick, and accurate, and he is 20k away, so should almost for sure get it. The War Dancer, so pretty good. All things considered, the 60k is definitely very helpful. That means, of course, as I mentioned before, at the earliest we'll see a strip War Dancer in week 5. Probably not till week 6. Kind of depends on how the dice are treating Jessup. One thing I will say Jessup has done very well is he does have, because he's been allowed to farm pass in a bunch of games here, you know, pretty consistently, total of 12 passes, right? Because he's been able to farm so many passes, he does have at least 1 SCP on everybody, which is phenomenal. That's definitely what you want on an elf team. You can do it. You might as well. Tree finally got some SPP, so that is good there. Any other thoughts? Not really. As always, this should be a War Dancer, but whatever. Not the end of the world. Okay, so that's where we are. Let's take a quick look at rankings, because they kind of start to look like something at this point. A lot of teams without a win yet, but only 3 games played, so that's not the end of the world. I'm still undefeated, like really undefeated instead of just I haven't lost, which is kind of crazy. And I've been pretty lucky so far, so who knows how long that'll continue. Mark right behind me, and then kind of just descends from there. Early on, so this doesn't mean a lot. This could easily, obviously, go inverted completely by the end of the regular season, but we'll see what happens. Let's take a look at next week. Did you like week 1? I liked week 1 because week 4 is week 1. Week 5 is a clone of week 2 as well, so a lot of these matchups are going to look really similar the next couple weeks. But if we start with what we've got here, we've got a rematch between Jessup and Zach. Last time these teams played, I said that Zach should have a pretty good advantage, but it ended up being a 2-0 for Jessup. A lot of reasons that happened, though. We'll see. Let's take a look at money given here. 1140 for Jessup compared to 1050. If he buys rule number 3, he'll be at 1110. I still think it's worth it. You're only going to get 90, so you might as well buy the reroll. So yeah, no one gets anything. Theoretically, this should favor Zach still. While he's not as fast, the block everywhere, the amount of frenzy should help him win. The tree gave him some fits, but honestly, he's in the best position at this point to deal with the tree. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, Chris probably actually is in a better position to deal with tree, but either way, the point is Zach should be able to win this game. Jessup's pretty wily. He's been relatively lucky. I don't know. I'm going to say Zach should win because he should win this game. Maybe it'll be a tie, but I think Zach should win. I'm going to stand by what I predicted earlier, and hopefully I am right. Get a rematch between, oh god, Nurgle and Mark here. Mark is getting a ton of money, which is fun, I guess. Let's see here. So, Marcus got 880. He's going to have 3 zombies, so he'll be at a flat 1k. Andrew, come on, where we are. Assuming he buys the Nurgle Warrior, which he should, he'll be at 1160. So Mark will be getting wizard money. We'll see what he decides to do. Wizard can definitely make Nurgle's life very hard, and I would honestly lean towards getting that to ensure a win. Kind of depends on what Mark feels like doing, though. Apothecary Babes certainly wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility either. Could get a 4-3 roll and a Babe. There's lots of things you could do. Andrew should not put off buying the 4th Nurgle Warrior, though, no matter what. Getting that 4th Nurgle Warrior means that Nurgle Warrior has a better chance of leveling up, and it means less Rotters on the field to suck up SPP. Absolutely a good choice. Because these hitting pieces need to get leveled up, and they're just not happening for him yet. Having a force tie this last week obviously didn't help that, but whatever. I think Andrew will still win, even if Mark manages to get a lightning bolt. It would require a lot of werewolf bullshit in order to make that work. Yeah, without the flesh columns, that matchup is just almost impossibly difficult for Mark. He doesn't have the ball moving ability to get around an Nurgle team like an elf team can. We'll see what happens. Certainly been surprised before, and Mark is a very good player. We'll see how that goes. This week we've got me versus Greyduck. I think I'm going to win this matchup. I say this without even looking that hard at it. I'll be at 180 or 1180. Yeah, 1180. She will be at 1100. So yeah, nobody's getting anything. I'm not going to buy my catcher this week. So missing this guard blitzer is huge. Means all she really has is a kit piece and a witch elf. Now the witch elf is very good. For sure, but I can play around a Witch Elf. Obviously, the 3 blitzers can be a problem. Dump off can be a problem. Playing against any other elf team can be a problem because they are wily, just like me. But I'm pretty good at elf ball. I really like the elf on elf matchup. And having some more dodge and having a pretty comparable amount of block and trading that for better throwing, I think is okay. We'll see. As always, with elf on elf ball, matchup can turn on a dime. But I feel pretty confident in my ability to pick up this game. Other matchup, we have got a rematch between humans and orcs, which is always a fun matchup to watch. Last time they played, relatively close, actually. We'll see. Having block on the troll is a big difference. Let's check money here. 1190. Versus 1160. Yeah, Orville could get away with buying the reroll for sure at that point, and nobody would get anything, right? Because he'd be at 11. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So that's what I would do. I think that's the safest call. Honestly, I'm going to say a tie again. Matchup favors Chris in some ways, but Orville is very wily at moving the ball around, and the team is very fast. Underestimating the speed of a human team can be a huge problem, so I don't doubt that Orville can be squirrely enough to get away with the ball. So I think that's what's going to happen there. Let's take a look at the Hall of Fame. For funsies, Amber of the World, highest player with 14, but a ton of 2 SPP players, or 2 level 2 players behind them. Best scoring is Amber of the World, which makes sense. Anybody else? Nope. Pretty well spread out here. The other teams, best thrower, Trappist Logic with 5 throwers. This is more of a product of just being very good at throwing with multiple people, multiple times. Best interception, no interceptions yet. We'll see if that changes this week. I'm honestly surprised we haven't had one yet. Most violent players, I'm kind of surprised to have 2 up here, but I guess I have hit relatively well. 3 for me. Wow, I really have the most players on this list. That's weird. They must be just a trail off thing, because I feel like other people have more. I feel like Chris has got 3 injuries, but maybe I'm wrong. Best runner, Gary, 25. Good old Pestiger. Auto cross behind, so we'll see what happens there. As I mentioned before, elf teams are probably not going to stay on this list very long because, frankly, elf teams don't hold the ball for very long outside of dark elves, which can. But even then, you move it around a lot, so getting like one person that holds the ball for a long period of time is unlikely, and consistently, for sure. Best throwing, Orville's actually thrown farther than me despite throwing much fewer throws. Let me quick double check that. Launch Paper Quack has thrown twice. I'm just throwing a very large amount, whereas I've thrown only 1 square less, but still, I'm kind of surprised. Probably I'm throwing a little bit more risky than Jessup is, which is kind of funny. Survivor will never mean anything. Best killer, 3 kills. I don't understand how that's working, but apparently the fouling killing comes in differently. Whatever. And best receiver, ton of elf teams. Snurp with 4, which is kind of crazy. Yeah, cool. So, quick recap of my predictions. I think that Zach will win, because he should. I think that Andrew will win. I think that I will win, and I think that this will be a tie. Cool. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'll see you next week.